thought I'd put together a quick AXELBox install video. Keep it brief as much as I can, step by step as per the instructions. So let's get into it. Tool wise, you need to have a small Phillips screwdriver and a T8 Torx nut. There's one screw in the bottom that requires a Torx screwdriver. It's underneath this little white sticker. That's where you're going to find that one. To do the rest of the work, we'll need some drill bits or a hole saw. I've got that tucked away right now. A pair of pliers, as well as some side cutters. Just has some flush cuts here. I got hot glue gun over here on the side and my soldering iron here as well. And I'm using some very small solder. This is 0.03. Sorry, this is very thin. You have to use quite a bit more of this than you would think. Yeah, let's get stuck into this here. Okay, to start things off, bare unit here, brand new out of the box, instruction manual. I'm going to flip this over and we're going to remove all of the screws. When we get to this last one, it'll say the warranty is void if the seal is broken. I'm just going to poke your screwdriver through the little hole if you can find it. There it is. Using that Torx screwdriver, and the cover should just lift off. I'm going to leave that to the side with those screws that we've moved stuck in it still. So, first things first, we need to deal with the jumpers that are in the track here. I'm going to zoom this in. So the jumpers, you can see this well enough, are wired from the CU, and they are wired to the first lane, and then there's another set of jumpers from the first lane to the second lane. So what we have to do is pull the little metal tabs out. Get rid of all this Scotch tape, leave the one that pins down the photo eye for the lap counting, because that doesn't need to be touched. And you should be left with this. Turn on some additional light here so you can see that a bit better. We've got wires coming from the CU going to the two sets of tabs. Now we want to keep these metal tabs, but we want to get rid of all this wire. So our soldering iron is getting heated up here. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the wires from the circuit board. Now polarity is key here. So what I see is black on the left and red on the right while looking at the unit from the bottom. So we're going to remember that. If I could find a pencil, that would be handy. There we go. So left, black, right, red, done. So a little tip for those that are afraid soldering iron. I like to have a clean tip to start, so I got a little sponge here that's wet. You just give it a couple of dabs. The tip's quite shiny, but it's dry. So if you take a little bit of solder and just get the tip a little bit wet, it transfers the heat a little bit faster. You have to apply less heat for less time. So just a quick little pull of the wire, boom, that one's off, and boom, that's off. Done. Let's move this out of the way. Now we need to salvage these little metal tabs. The wire, don't need the wire. We're getting this is all getting replaced with wire from the box. So again, wet the tip a little bit and just apply a little bit of heat and it should fall right off like that. Garbage, garbage. Okay. Just trying not to have any more camera issues here. Clean the tip off. A little damp. And apply some heat. And the wires will just fall right off. Right onto your lap. Okay. 4 metal tabs ready for use again. Okay, got this CU flipped over again. Now, this box I'm going to mount on, it'll be the right hand side of the unit, sorry, the left hand side of the unit when it's flipped over. So it's going to go over here. Reason being is the track race direction is this way while it's flipped upside down, and I would like this to be protected by the CU. So what we're going to do is we're going to prep this piece here for the mounting of the box. Okay, so according to the instructions, we need to drill some holes in this plate. So what we need to do is scribe a line here. So 5 centimeters from the top. Here's the top, closest to the track. So 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters, straight edge. There we go. Pencil's a good straight edge. And then we need to go 3 centimeters from the edge, and 7 centimeters from the edge, and 11 from the edge. So, well, you can see that. Hole number 1, hole number 2, and hole number 3. This one's very close to the edge, so we're just going to be kind of cautious with that one. Maybe we could move it in a little bit. I think we'll get it in. It shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so the outside holes have to be a 5mm or 1/4 inch bit. I have something a little bit smaller that's should work just as well. Okay, for the last hole, needs to be about a 1/2 inch at a minimum, but you can go about as big as you want because the base of the unit is quite large. I'm just using a step bit. It's fast and it makes a perfect hole every time, but it also makes a big mess. Okay, so now you have a plate with 3 nice holes in it. Now, AxelBox typically comes with screws and nuts unless you've asked for one otherwise. So we'll funnel this wire through. Now these screws are generally 1032. It's a 3/8 bit, and of course this one is too close to the edge. Alright, so as you can see, we've got our box mounted to our side plate. So we're at the stage now where we can reattach it to the CU. Pin that down so it doesn't move. So glue gun is just warming up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of sort out this wiring so that it is laid out appropriately. We want our track wiring to go this way. We want our power to go this way. We don't want to crisscross them, otherwise the wires will start to stack up and then we'll have issues getting everything to fit. Okay, so now we are at the stage where we have to route the wiring. So we have 3 sets of wires here. We've got a red black with a black heat shrink on it. We have a red blue with a blue band, and a yellow green with a yellow band. Yellow and blue bands are for the track. The black band is for the power. We're just going to work with the power one for the time being. I want to get this over to here where the power taps used to be. So let's work on that. What we need to do is start trimming some sidewalls here to get this wire to where it needs to go. So we're just going to quickly separate the 2 of these. Between the clips here and here, there's a gap in the plastic joiners. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some side cutters and we're going to cut that material away and just pry it back and forth very gently until it comes off. This allows passage of the wire from one track component to the next. There you go. Now the one thing you got to keep in mind is when this cover goes back on, there's really no places for the wires to enter, so we got to take that into consideration right now as well. So I'll move my counterweights here. I'm going to put this back to where it was. You can see there's a nice spot right here where if I run the wires straight in, I can run the track wiring this way and get the wiring for the CU power into that zone as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this cover right here. Again, just take your side cutters, cut once, cut twice, and break away. That piece, where's my hand? Right there. That piece comes out. Now you can see we have a nice little notch right there. The next step is to get some hot glue on the go. Let's get the glue gun going. Okay, so glue gun is just warming up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of sort out this wiring so that it is laid out appropriately. We want our track wiring to go this way. We want our power to go this way. We don't want to crisscross them, otherwise the wires will start to stack up and then we'll have issues getting everything to fit. So what we need to do is strategically lay everything in place so that we have lots of room for this. This is how we're going to do it. So we're going to glue this area first, just kind of work our way towards the unit. So what I'm going to do is prep the heat gun prep the glue gun. I want to put a pretty big dollop here. It's very hot. Get your fingers in there. And we're going to place the wiring into that location and just let it set. It's just starting to harden up now, but I'm not going to let go until it's absolutely stone cold. I don't want the wires walking on me here. Okay, that's pretty good. What we're going to do is we're going to do that one more time on the other side of this wall so that it's supported on both ends. There you go. Now that's pretty good, pretty secure. We'll just do a quick fitment check here to make sure our wires are being guided to the right area. Yeah, looks good. The wires going to where they need to go. Well, maybe we'll put one more bead of glue just as it enters more time. Since the last clip, I've done 2 extra glue sections here. One here beside the speaker and one just before this low spot. I want to make sure that the wires don't affect the operation of that speaker, so this is just simply to get around that. Sometimes what I like to do is just make a little glue gun strap and go right over top of the wires as well. And that will all, just since we're here with the glue gun, secure it down from the bottom and the top. Now, quickly we're going to divert the wiring across this little track. Alright, now we're going to bridge this gap here. Quickly steer these wires over the top of the ridge. Out the glob of glue. Exciting stuff, watching glue dry. Okay, so when looking at the wires here, the red blue was for one lane, yellow green for another. Green and yellow are dedicated for lane 1 or car 1. So we need to route them to a specific lane that makes sense, whatever lane you want to be car 1. Now, generally speaking, if I were to look at this CU from the top side, I would want the inside lane to be car 1 and the outside lane to be car 2. So we're going to put the green, yellow on the lane closest to the circuit board. Now, color coding is critical here. What we need to do is we need to get the red and blue across to the next lane so we can work on the yellow and green after the fact. So we put another bead of glue down for red and blue. Now when it comes to getting these wires to the right rail, the instructions state that yellow is going to be on the left rail when looking at the bottom this way. So left rail, let that focus again, will be on this lane on the left side. We've got our tabs. They don't want to focus. Here we go, right here. We've got these tabs. So what we're going to do is we're going to rough place this yellow wire where it needs to be cut and soldered. So let's just trim it here. And we're going to cut about ½ inch of insulation off. This wire pre-tinned. So again, clean your tips. Where is the tip? Right there. It's cleaned, but it's not pre-soldered, so I'm going to put a little dab of solder on it just to get it smoky and wet. And then if you just touch the wire, get the wire warm enough so that the solder melts on the copper bit. So what I'm going to do is grab onto our tab, and I'm going to lay it parallel with the wire itself. You can see that, and I'm going to heat the tap itself, not the wire, and I want to see the two pools become one, as if you were welding. There we go. Just hold it till it cools. If you need to do a tug test, by all means perform one, but when you do soldering you want to see the two pools join, and then you don't have to worry about it separating after the fact. Okay, made a bit of a judgment call there with trying to put it in this hole because the tap was looking for a 2 position, but I was able to pivot and get it to work. So we're going to do the same here. We're going to fit it to the same two position hole right here and here. So let's trim this wire. Half inch of copper showing. Get rid of all the excess stuff here. Pre-tin our lead. Solder all the way down to the base where the insulation is. We're going to do it in a better spot. Maybe I'll have a better luck. There we go. Let's get the two pools to merge. That's not very good. There we go, one lane complete. Let's see if I can get that up close. Yeah. See what's cracking there. See, we got red wire ready to be on the left hand side, and the blue wire will be on the right. That is a nice one. It's beautifully flat. It's not sticking up, so that cover is not going to be a big issue to get back on. And then we'll do the same with the blue one. Nice. Okay, I'll give you a close-up of both of these here. Where are we at? This camera. So we got red on the left, looking from the bottom, blue on the right. Both taps are fully seated. And backtracking, we've got yellow on the left, green on the right, fully seated. You can see there's this step down. We want to keep our wires in that location. Going around the speaker into the bottom of the box, and then our power is all that's left to do, and we got to get to this location. So we've got our last remaining wires. Let's pin this unit down so she doesn't move on us. Now, the way that the cover, you see, I'm going to jog this over a bit. Where the power connection is, it's located in this skinny little section here, so we actually have to divert the wire from here, where it's currently running, and get it into this body. Now, there's two ways to do this, and one way is easier than the other, and that is to solder our wires so that they are connected this way, as opposed to this way. If we go this way, then you're contending with the plastic barrier of the cover interfering with the wiring. So what we're going to do is we're going to get one wire done at a time. Now you can run this slack through this circuit board. It's not going to make a world of difference. We know that our black wire was supposed to go on the left tab of the two solder joints. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to trim this to fit. I'm going to cut it right about where it needs to be, and I'm only going to strip off what's needed. Call that, I don't know, under a 1/4 inch for sure. Maybe 3/16, basically the width of that. Got my hand in the way, the width of that joint. You can get in closer. You don't want to go any longer than that solder joint. Shorter might even be better, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off. And this is already pre-soldered. I wouldn't add anything to that, but this wire, you see here, needs to be pre-tinned beforehand. So we're going to do that right now. Not too bulbous. It should just be just enough to cover the strands. You don't want to be able to see the strands because then you sometimes are under soldering the joint. So let's get this connected here. And what we need to do is just apply enough heat so that the pool of the wire creates a pool in the circuit board. You don't want to heat up the board too much. So just apply just enough heat. Alright. You'll see the circuit board pool liquefy at a certain point, and that's where you stop. Strippers are not so good at cutting anymore. Let's get this pre-tinned. So you want to make sure that the tinning is occurring all the way around the wire. If it's just happening on the top and it's still copper underneath, apply a bit of heat on the bottom side, you'll see the tin start to make its way to the other side. Now, I think I've got this stripped a little bit too long, so I'm just going to trim this down a bit. And the same story here, just enough heat on the wire to liquefy, solder on the top and the bottom side. Perfect. That's a beauty. Okay. So overall, we've got all the wiring for the CU power is complete, and the track wiring is done. We haven't tampered with the lap counting diodes, photo eyes I call them. And these little taps here, these have little pins that connect to the rails as well. They can stay in place. In that digital mode, the polarity of the wiring is correct so that these are functional. In analog mode, the polarity flips, but also the track goes dead until you actually start applying throttle to your controllers. That goes the same for all of the remote ones, for the, your, the check lane and your remote power track pieces. Same story with those. They're all going to operate in digital, just not in analog. So we're just going to put the cover back on and we'll run a quick test. Okay, let's get this cover back on. Make sure everything fits nice and snug. A bit of pressure here. I just have to remove the wiring just a pinch. Bottom side here. There, that feels better. There's always one screw missing. Good thing we got extras. Boom. Fully wired vacuum case. Tidy up here. Some room for our function test. To test this unit, we're going to plug in our Bluetooth dongle. Controllers. Grab those. And we'll need a power supply. Left it in the on position. Alright, no problem. So, let's grab ourselves one digital car and two analog cars. So we got a digital Carrera. You can see it's got a switch, photo eye. Put it on track, lights come on. So what we're going to do is program our controllers. load this car. I like to do a couple of tests. First of all, prove that it's working and that I can change the speed in both lanes and program a ghost car and have it operate in both lanes. Analog test pretty much complete. Obviously verifying lane changers working, that's something that can be done with when it's connected to the track. Now to put it in analog mode, you see the box over here, there's two switches. Bottom switch up first, second switch up last. I've got both LEDs are on. Now what that means is we put two cars on track. If both LEDs are on and I code, oops, let's get the one light, code both cars to the same controller. That's not what we want, right? We want to have two cars, two controllers. So what I got to do is we've programmed car 1, which is our inside lane, to this controller already. I'm going to disable car 1 and I'm going to code car 2 to the second controller, and we'll re-enable car 1. Oops. That's working. Now one thing I like to check as well is the speed functions still work. Oh, all right. For each lane. There you go. It's a done deal. Now, the last thing I wanted to point out was what work needs to be done to a curved lane changer in order for the AxelBox to work properly. Inside these two pieces specifically, there are jumpers that need to be removed. And we're going to go through how to make that happen, and then we'll do a quick test on a small circuit to make sure everything's working proper. Let's get into it. So with these power taps and this connection break here, it's fair to say this lane and this lane are isolated from each other at this halfway point. So what we need to make sure is that the outside lane is powering this section of the lane that's changing, and that this inside lane is powering up the changing lane as well. And the reason being, if you close this up, look at it from the top side, picture these two powered up by car 1 channel. This is a continuation here. These are plugged into one another, so this continues on. And we want to maintain this rail here with that same channel. So when the car comes around this corner, it momentarily loses the one rail, but it picks it back up again. And in the digital mode, this lane will still be powered up from the inside lane. There's a break here, physically very small, but that is a separation point between car 2 and car 1. Car 1 is strictly powering up this. Car 2 is strictly powering up that. Car 2 will maintain power from here to here, but it stops dead in its tracks right there, and then it continues on through the plugs around the corner. And that really is the extent of what needs to be done for the lane changer. So make sure before you install this type of track piece into your digital analog layout that this jumper can stay as is. you do need to remove the jumper from the turning lane to the outside lane. You will still be able to maintain operation in digital mode. The turning lane will be powered from both sides. As the car is passing from one lane to the other, it will receive power from the opposite lane as soon as it jumps this gap. And in analog mode, there is a separation point here that will prevent car 1 being powered from car 2 frying the chips, essentially. Alright, just to prove that everything's in working order, we've got our CU, AXELBox, our curved lane changer, and just a standard X in a nice old configuration. Okay, so we have our box in digital mode, power on, get our car coded proper. And we'll check our speed, sure. Brake is good. Just stick to the outside lane, inside lane, outside again, and inside. Perfect. Good to go. Digital mode. Right. Now, when switching again, we go bottom to top. We've got our 2 LEDs on. Get our cars on. Now, again, we can code both cars to the same, which we don't really want to do. So let's disable car 1 for now. I'm just going to drive car 2. Speed setting is 70%, so we should be able to program that car a bit faster now. Okay, let's turn car 1 off, car 2 on. And it's still driving slow because it's on the previous setting. So let's give that more speed. There you go. She's a done deal. Make sure you take your analog cars off before you go back to digital mode, otherwise you'll be running full speed in reverse and you're going to ruin your beautiful analog cars. Yes, so that kind of concludes the installation and operation of your AXELBox. If you guys have any questions on the install, you can ask them via the YouTube comments section, or you can join the AXELBox homepage on Facebook. Send me a PM there. I can answer your questions, concerns, troubleshooting via that method as well. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Until the next video, we'll do some unboxing here. I've got a couple of special cars that I've been keeping my eye on for quite a while that I'm pretty excited to have in my collection. So we'll be doing a couple of reviews of those, maybe some tuning. We'll get some more top slot videos going for those cars. Do some comparisons between the different cars as well, since they're of similar classes and manufacturers. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sinking my teeth into getting these cars upgraded from their stock format. Until next time, take care. Bye now.